What's up, everybody? Welcome to our very first episode of the Love and Rice podcast with your host, Aunt Ma, and host, Christina Ma. Thank you for doing this podcast with me.
You're welcome. I don't even know why I just did this thing right
What
here.
is that?
I have no idea.
Pointing to the sky?
Yeah.
Sky's
like
the limit. So we've been married for over 10 years, almost 11 years now. And we've learned that we have a lot of opinions on everything.
Like everything.
Right. And so in this episode, we're going to talk about if having kids messed up our life.
Ooh.
That's a
deep.
crazy question, right? Mm-hmm. So we have two kids. For you guys who don't know our background, we have a 5-year-old daughter and a 3-year-old son. And I would say our whole life changed the moment we even tried to start having kids.
Yeah. And I think our journey started a long time before we actually even had Leia. And I do want to mention she is our rainbow baby. So we've been in the baby making phase, or is that what you would call it, for how many years now?
I mean,
Like
what?
7 years?
Baby making phase?
Like
for
since
7
we first
years?
started our journey, right? The first time that we tried to have a kid. And then the first one ended up in a miscarriage. And
Right.
then after that, we were kind of traumatized from it. And I think we probably waited about like 1 to 2 years before we tried again with Leia.
It was like a few months after, but the whole process was like almost 2 years to actually get our first kid out,
Yeah.
right?
To get her out. Yeah.
Yeah, out of you. So having two kids, I do not regret having them at all. They're the biggest blessing in my life.
Yeah. And I feel like no matter how stressful it gets, I probably wouldn't change it.
Of course.
Yeah.
I wouldn't change it for the world. But the question is, with all the things that we're going through with the kids and our lives, like our lives changed drastically.
Yeah.
And it did mess up a lot of things in our life.
Yeah, I feel like the biggest thing that has been affected since we've had kids was our relationship. Because before them, we would always be able to focus on ourselves. We would be able to have dates. We would have time to, for self-improvement and to be able to focus on everything about us. And now that we have kids, like I feel like the only thing that we really do focus on are the kids and work.
For sure. I mean, because work, we just got to do to pay the bills, right?
Yeah, and to take care of the kids.
And then for the kids, it's like, it's not even, it's actually more than work, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't think of it like it's work. It's just, you have to do everything you can for the kids.
Yeah, and I think when I say work, it's because the way that our lives are kind of intermingled with our work lives and our personal lives, it's just kind of like you're always on the clock for something.
I think that the kids definitely weakened the relationship between you and me.
Yes.
But it made our partnership stronger. So there's two parts in a relationship, right? There's the partnership in like where we do things together. And then there's the actual other part where you're intimate in the relationship and a lot of conversations, emotions, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Right? So we don't have time for that because that's where the kids come in, and then the work comes in because we don't get to do work when we're taking care of the kids.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, usually that's when like couples are more intimate or they spend time together, have conversations, which I think we should be doing actually. But I know at the end of the day that we are really tired from the day, from taking care of the kids, working, just doing like everyday errands.
I'm so tired every day. Like by the end of the night, because at midnight, like, okay, we put the kids to bed at like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, right? And then they don't actually crash until like 30 minutes later, sometimes even an hour if it's a bad night. And then I'll work until midnight because I got to do the work from all the hours that we miss in the day, right?
Yeah.
So by the time it's like midnight, I'm like, okay, if I can finish this, we can do some Netflix, we can watch something or we could chill. But then I'm so tired sometimes that I just want to lay in bed after.
Yeah, and I think even by the time you get into bed after like working and stuff, I'm already close to passing out or I'm just already asleep because since you're working all the time, I'm taking care of the kids all the time and I do a lot of the housework. And I think we do a lot on both of our ends. So I try to wait for you at the end of the night to come into bed, but if it hits like a certain time, I'm like, I just need to sleep.
What are you doing while I'm working in the middle of the night?
I think it's just probably like my nightly routine. So it's kind of like my own self-care, doing something actually for myself, whether it's, you know, doing my skincare routine at night or just getting myself ready for bed.
What's getting yourself ready for bed? I have no idea what you do between 10 and 12 because that's the time I'm working every day.
So I think sometimes I'll read a book in bed. Sometimes I'll turn on a movie or a show, and then I will like put on my massage chair because my body is just hurting throughout the day.
Oh my God.
Everything.
Okay, I'm glad you brought up the massage chair because you have this portable massage chair, right? Because your
Yeah.
back always hurts from having the kids and you're always stressed out from the kids. And so by the time when I get into bed with you at midnight and we put on a show on Netflix, most of the time you don't put that massage chair on until that moment. And so I'm like, I just want to relax and watch the show. But all I hear is
Because the
and I'm like,
massage
what the
chair,
hell?
it's like 30 minutes at a time. So it goes on for like 20, 30 minutes, turns off. And then for me, so one thing they don't tell you about having kids is like, especially for women, I've had scoliosis like ever since I was a little girl. And then as I got older, it got worse. And then after having kids, my back hurts even more now. And especially with getting the epidural as well. I didn't know about this, how painful the aftermath is. So I wouldn't even say like going through birth was super painful, but just getting the epidural, carrying the weight of the kids in my body for so long, that it just strained my back even more. So like even just sitting here and talking with you, like my back, I can kind of feel it hurting a little bit. And I think that probably is something that just comes with age. But that massage chair, it goes on for 30-minute intervals. And I'm like, all right, let me do upper back. And then once that's done, I'm like, okay, lower back. And then I keep moving it around. So that's why it's on for a really long time.
I mean, that's why I don't ever say anything. I'm just in my head. I'm just like, damn, dude, is she really using the massage chair while I'm trying to listen to this movie that's going on? Like, I can't hear anything. All I hear is just the buzzing. But I don't say anything. You know what I mean?
And we have to turn the volume lower because we're scared of the kids waking up. But I think they're at an age where if we were to turn it up higher, I think it's okay. I think we're just so used to like the baby phase that we always keep it at like a 6 or a 7.
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with it because even if they do wake up, I'm okay with them coming into bed and laying with us. And
That's true.
You know, I love it when the kids come into our bed in the middle of the night. So that's another thing that messed up our lives: sleep. Right?
Yeah.
So while we try to go to sleep, maybe about 2 or 3 times in the middle of the night, they wake us up because they either run into our room in the middle of the night or something happens. But I actually love that they come into our bed.
It's funny that you say that because like you never really ever wake up when they come in anymore.
I don't because I'm so tired.
I know. Usually I'm so exhausted too. So they're coming into bed and I'm just like, what? I'll carry them over and I'll toss them over to the center. So at least you can feel them in bed with you.
I'll just either wake up in the morning and I'm like, oh, Enzo's right next to me or he's hugging me. Or there's another part where I'll wake up because they've been kicking me in the face.
Yeah, I think one thing that we are both guilty of is that, you know, we're saying how we need to make time for each other and we need to make that time to be more intimate and get closer and just have that connection. But at the same time, as soon as we come into bed, we're like, where's Enzo?
Yeah,
where's Leia?
I know. We're with them all day. And the moment they're away from us, I miss them immediately.
Yeah.
And I think it's because we went through, you know, the miscarriage and we went through so much trauma of that. And then everyone else tells us like, you know, the kids aren't going to be small forever.
Right.
So every time I see them, I'm just like, oh, it's so cute. I love them so much. It's adorable. So I'm really soaking it in as much as I can.
Yeah.
So,
I think we're the same. We're on the same page on that. But I think eventually we're going to have to not get used to that or else it's going to just make us drift further apart in our relationship.
I don't know. I feel like we're fine right now, kind of, you know. Okay, so if we didn't have kids, what would you be doing differently?
That's a really good question.
Like, you think our relationship would be a lot better? Well, obviously, because we'd be going out on dates like multiple times a week.
I think we would have a better connection. We would communicate more. we would be more intimate. And I think it all goes hand in hand, because if we were to be able to be on the same level, like intellectually, and communicate more and know what's going on in each other's lives more, then I think like that would lead to like being more close, like physically and stuff too.
All right, there's one thing that I would say that messed up our life after having kids, which is our sex life. So we don't have sex as much as before, but one of the reasons why I'm always kind of like, I don't want to have it as much is because I'm scared that we're going to accidentally have a third kid.
That's why you have to use protection.
We do. But at the same time, sometimes I don't know. We're married too. You know what I mean?
I know, but we have protection for a reason, right? And I just recently went to get checked up, and I'm looking to get an IUD. So we
What's
don't
an
have to.
IUD?
So it's basically like a device that they insert into your uterus, and
Is it safe?
it's safe. And I think it's something that you would keep in there for 10 years. But I have heard of instances where people have gotten pregnant from having it in there.
Yeah, I mean, like anything happen. Like I can get snipped and you can still have a baby.
True.
You know?
But would you?
Would I what?
Would you get snipped if that's something that you're so scared about?
I don't know. It's like yes and no. Like I don't want another kid, but at the same time, you know, if we were to get a kid 10 years later, I would still feel a little blessed.
I would not want a kid 10 years from now, though.
So it's like, I don't want another kid, but also
No.
I would love an accident. I don't know.
What? This is the first time I'm hearing this.
I don't know. Like, I just wouldn't hate it.
You just don't, I think you don't want to, what is that word? Like take away that opportunity of even having that option of having another kid if you wanted to.
I guess.
That might be it.
I don't know. What are some things that you would actually, you think you would have done differently in your life if you didn't have kids?
Honestly, I don't know. Like
Because-
I haven't really thought about that.
Since you had kids, you stopped working, right? You're a stay-at-home mom. You take care of the kids all day.
Yeah, I mean, I still work. I'm just not committing myself 100% to another company, because I'm actually working for us now, which I love.
Right. We're self-employed.
Yeah, because I think if we didn't have kids, I would probably still be in the corporate world. I would be working full time.
Really?
I think my career would be like doing really well.
You don't think you would have started your own business or something?
I'm not sure, because I think growing up, my parents were immigrants, right? So they didn't really have too many resources for anything. And they always taught me to go the conservative route. So before I met you, I was like, everything was just clean cut, right? I was going to school and I was like, okay, I'm going to go to college for 4 years, get my degree, start working full time at a corporate job. And then that's it. That's just going to be my career and my life.
You think that's the American culture that you're talking about? Or is that your parents being Asian and being like, this is what you need to do as a safety, just get a good job? Because you know how Asian parents are? They're always just like, they don't care what you do in terms of like risk. They just want you to get a good job and that's it.
Yeah, they don't want you to take any risk.
Right?
Like they want you to have something safe so you don't have to worry about anything, or they want you to find a very lucrative job like a doctor, even a lawyer. My parents said that they wouldn't want me to be one.
My mom would always tell me to be a lawyer.
Really?
Yeah.
My parents were the opposite.
She told me that I would be a very good lawyer because I argue a lot.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
But that means I
I'm not
win.
going to deny that.
Oh,
No, but it's not a good thing to always win, because
What?
you can be wrong and still try to win, but then that kind of conflicts with like who you are and
What?
your character. Yeah, because I mean, if your goal is to always win, you could be in the wrong. You could be like defending a murderer or something, and you know that they're completely guilty, but you're just like, well, but I have to win because that's what I have to do as a lawyer. I have to win for my client.
why would I?
So that goes against your morals.
No, why would I even do that?
I don't know. It's just an example.
It's like we get all these sponsorship deals when we do our YouTube stuff, right?
Right.
I'm not gonna accept a sponsorship for a product or item that I don't believe in.
Right.
So that goes the same as if whatever job I do, I'm not gonna do what I don't believe in.
Yeah. Well, I guess I was using that example
Come
because
on
that's
now.
how my parents felt like if I wanted to be a lawyer.
I'm not a sellout. Crazy.
That's true. That's true.
I think for me, I would, by now at this age, if I didn't have kids, I would have been able to focus on a lot more of my personal goals of running an empire, whether it was like by now I'd have multiple restaurants,
Yeah.
things like that. Cause that's something that I always wanted to do. I always wanted to either open up a restaurant that I really loved and I can start having multiple around, the States. Or I also wanted to create products that, something that I can create and sell at like Target,
Yeah.
Like-
I think we've actually tried to do that as well. And you pretty much kind of owned your partner for a restaurant before too. So you kind of have that experience.
Yeah. I mean, in talking about trying to get something into Target, we were trying to make soap at one point.
Yeah.
When we had Leia and she had all these allergic reactions to all these soaps.
And she had eczema.
Right. And so we were trying to create natural soap for her to use. And then we're like, well, how come there's not any on the market like this? We should just make it and, see what happens.
Right.
But then COVID hit, right? We had tickets to all these conventions to go speak to soap people, manufacturers, all this stuff. And just COVID hit. And then we had our second child, and it was like, whoa.
Yeah. And I think that goes back to like how different our lives are because we had kids. Because every time we try to do something, we always try to like dip our feet into a new project. And then every time we're like almost there, something happens with the kids, always with the kids. And then we have to stop.
But I wouldn't trade any of that time I had with the kids for
Me neither.
anything else. So like, I just love spending so much time with them. Like if I could just sleep with them all day, that's what I would do. I don't want them to talk. I don't want them to do anything. Just lay in bed and sleep. I think the best sound I can hear as a parent is my kid snoring next to me. Because then I feel like, okay, I've done my job. This guy is breathing. He sounds peaceful. He sounds happy. Like this kid is alive. And that makes me feel really good.
There's so much more you could be doing with the kids though.
I know.
Like, what?
I'm just saying. But that's the moment every night where I'm like, oh, this is great.
Yeah, I think because that's the actual real only moments that you get with the kids throughout the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you feel the same way.
What do you mean?
Like, don't you feel at peace when you hear your kids snoring next to you?
Yeah, I mean, I do like it. It's like very comforting to see them sleeping because I'll just stare at them and like admire them.
Oh my gosh, we sound like creepers here. But I think if you guys are not parents, you would never understand what we're talking about. But we're definitely not creepers.
No, but it's like when you're dating someone and...
You stare at people when they sleep? Your boyfriends?
Well, not staring, but like if you're sleeping and you're just... Or they're sleeping and then you just look over at them and you're like... Oh, that's mine,
Oh,
and
that's
but you're
weird.
not like,
that's weird.
That's mine.
No, that's weird. That's weird. That's weird.
Did kids mess up our lives?
Did kids mess up our lives?
I wouldn't say so.
No, not really. It just changed drastically.
Yeah,
So,
I would say the pros outweigh the cons for sure.
for sure. So guys, subscribe to the podcast. You could follow us on all podcast platforms, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, Google, Castbox, pretty much any platform you can listen to a podcast, we're on it. So make sure to follow. And also, if you're not subscribed to the channel, do that here. And we'll catch you guys next time.